First of all, Roger, what have you been up to today here?
I've had the honour of speaking to Scott Dan, Alan Pardew, and bringing their pre-season thinking to the great growing audience here in the United States of America.
And what was the feeling with Scott Dan? What was he saying?
He says you're going to win the league, probably have it locked up by March, and then focus your sights on the European campaign the season after. That's what he said in my imagination. We really talked about the pre-season, how as a professional 12 years in, he feels gearing up again for the campaign ahead. We kind of run through the mental steps he goes through, the individual steps, the fitness steps, also the collective steps, new players filtering into the club, that unique culture you have at Palace of togetherness, how that is maintained even with players leaving, players coming in, and the role that he plays in it, which is really quite fascinating. Brilliant bloke.
You made that great documentary about the club last year.
Yeah.
What was it you loved about Palace when you learnt more about them?
I mean, they were just an amazingly authentic club. Just the fan ownership, the four owners stepping in a moment of darkness, lifting up the club with fans going outside the bank to make sure that a deal could be done. And then building a club that has always been a yo-yo club and trying to bring some stability, but maintaining those traditions of South London. I mean, this phenomenal area, phenomenal part of London, building a club that is rooted in it, that knows what it is, and building a brand off the back of it, which I think is fascinating, not just to me, but to thousands of Americans who over here are choosing Premier League teams for the first time and are looking around since 2014, many of them, and they see Manchester United. They've only known them as a middling club. They see clubs like Southampton as a superpower because Southampton have always been around the top of the table, and they look at Crystal Palace and they see the fans, they see the Homesdale stand, and they see the passion, they see the energy. And so many Americans right now are looking at clubs and saying, Crystal Palace, that is fascinating, and start to follow you, follow the narrative, and fall in love.
And how is the American soccer fan different to the English football fan?
It goes far deeper than just an accent. I mean, what has happened here since the 2010 World Cup at the beginning and then the 2014 World Cup, and thanks to just the growth of EA Sports FIFA, which has been a silent hand that's grown the game and familiarised millions of Americans with the teams, the players, the tactics of the game. America has fallen in love with football, but they're looking at the English Premier League with fresh eyes. You know, they weren't born in Croydon. They weren't born in Liverpool. They're not born in Newcastle, but they're looking at this incredible league, unparalleled narrative. Every big manager has been sucked into the thing, all of the characters, and they're picking a team with eyes fresh. And without that geographical commitment, they're all saying, who am I going to start supporting? And the question that I'm kind of fascinated is, why not Crystal Palace? Why not Everton? Why not Bournemouth? And to work with those teams to bring their narrative, their history, their traditions to the American audience.